What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Pitchside with Parker, coming to you on the heels of some very good news that there is lots of money being splashed out into a new TV deal for the Women's Super League. So I'm going to talk about that and what this means for the Women's Super League, what this means for women's sports and women's soccer in general moving forward. Now, before we get into it, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new around here and drop a like on the video before we even get started, because that's what we do on this channel. So the breaking news that came out sort of last night, maybe this morning, depending on your time zone, is that the WSL has signed a TV contract with Sky Sports worth $33 million over the next 3 years, 24 million pounds, to broadcast up to 44 games a season on Sky Sports and also 22 more on BBC. This is a groundbreaking deal because it's the first time that the WSL has received TV broadcasting money, which, if you're unfamiliar with the sports landscape, is how all of these leagues all across the world, men's and women's, make all their money. So this is the first time that their rights have actually been sold separate from men's rights. They used to be sold with the FA Cup rights, but they were all on their own this time, and they got a lot of bang for their buck. And with this deal, they will become immediately the highest earning professional women's soccer league in the world. The figure of £8 million per season will go into a number of things. Primarily, it will go to the teams, and they're going to split the revenue 75-25. So 75% goes to the Women's Super League teams, and 25% will go to the championship teams, which is a huge boost, obviously, for just everybody, but especially those championship teams and the lower teams in the WSL that had trouble this season with, fielding enough players and paying salaries and making sure the pitch was up to standard, especially during the pandemic when teams lost all their match day revenue. This is a huge boon to all of those teams. And it's also been reported that the FA will spend some of this money investing in better refereeing and also in trying to make sure that every team has good pitches to play on, which has been a serious issue in the WSL this season, with a lot of games being canceled due to weather, and stuff that can be fixed by buying pitch covers, changing the type of grass. All these types of things will be more available now that there's more money in play, and the investment in refereeing is going to be huge because there are no full-time professional referees in the WSL. They need to be professionals for you to get the highest standard of refereeing. It's already the highest standard of women's soccer, so the fact that they haven't even had professional referees doing the game is shocking, and it has led to a lot of terrible calls, a lot of teams and fans that are upset at big moments in games because they've got inexperienced or just referees that have little oversight, little incentive to really be their very best. And so this should help with that as well. And personally, that's one of the things I'm most excited about for this deal. When this deal goes into effect, the way that we watch WSL will change a little bit. A big part of the deal was figuring out the best time slots to make these games as available to as many people as possible. And the main time slots that the WSL settled on for the big TV games are 11:30 a.m. on Saturday, 12:30 p.m. on Sunday. So in America, those are really early kickoffs. That's UK time. So that's 6:30 a.m. on Saturday, 7:30 a.m. on Sunday. So Americans who are watching, you may need to make sure your alarm clock is in good shape because you're going to have to get up early to watch your team probably. They also did secure Friday night and Sunday night slots, which are 6:30 UK time, and that would be like 1:30 East Coast time in the US. Obviously, much earlier on all of these if you're on the West Coast. But because this is a domestic broadcasting deal, the Americans out there like myself, and I'm sure a lot of you who are watching, you don't actually have to worry about your coverage being changed. You don't have to buy a Sky Sports subscription to watch all your favorite players, to watch the Presses and the Heaths and the Sam Mewises of the world. We can continue to watch on the FA Player and on Ata Football whenever games are on there, and the occasional NBC Sports games that they've been putting on this season as well. So I wanted to give a little bit of context to the money of this deal and what it's actually worth when you compare it to other leagues around the world, because I think if you hear $33 million, that's just a huge amount of money, right? But then if you were to say compare it to the other men's leagues, it's pennies. Because we're talking billions for the men's TV rights deals. So how does this really compare? Well, I did my best to find figures on some other prominent women's leagues around the world. For the NWSL, they have a new deal with CBS Sports that was signed last year. It was an undisclosed fee, so that part I can't really compare, but the biggest difference here is that with CBS, they only put 16 games on television per season, whereas this new Sky Sports and BBC deal is going to put 66 Women's Super League games on TV. So that's a drastic difference. If you look at D1 Féminin, which is the top league in France, of course, Lyon play there, which is a huge draw, PSG. Their deal is 1.3 million per year. If you convert that to dollars, they signed a 5-year, €6 million deal a couple years ago. And that one is similar to the WSL. It puts 44 games on TV. So that one is similar, but the money is a lot smaller. And then if you look at the WNBA, which is a league that has been mentioned by the WSL in some of their press releases about this, they want to get more viewers than the WNBA. Well, the WNBA has a really big deal in comparison. Their deal is worth about $25 million per year with ESPN. And this year, ESPN increased the amount of games that were on TV during the pandemic and during the wobble last year, which did really well in terms of the ratings, and they went up from 24 to 37 games on TV. But if you're looking at dollars spent per game basis, WNBA is still way out in front in terms of women's sports leagues. But again, it's a deal that has less games actually on TV, and I think this is what this is all about. This is a huge deal because it's putting it on Sky Sports, where the Premier League lives. It's putting it on BBC, which is accessible to everybody. You know, these are not paywall things. This is not like the US where you have to watch it on CBS All Access, which is paid per month. This is not, you know, on some team site that's behind a paywall or the stream isn't very good. Like, this is proper TV. It's accessible to a lot of people. You could watch it in a bar. You could watch it at your grandma's house. You know, if you have a cable subscription, you got it. So that's massive. And this deal really, when you compare it to the other ones, there's nothing like it. So yeah, with all that in mind, I mean, look, the bottom line is this is just really good news all around. I think for the league, for women's sports in general, certainly for women's soccer, this could be another thing that yet again attracts more people to the WSL, both fans and star players. I mean, we've already seen this exodus this season, which I've talked about in a different video on my channel, and spoiler alert, a lot of that was just due to COVID in the US and the NWSL schedule being so changed. But this could be another opportunity for WSL teams to start recruiting bigger players because they're going to have more money to spend. I think the priorities here will probably be more so to just keep improving and improving on the infrastructure and the amount of people that they can afford to pay instead of have work on a volunteer basis, things like that. And really the responsibility for serious investment and bringing in huge names to their teams will still fall on the club that they're a part of, because as we've seen with Lyon, a team that is willing to actually spend its money closer to what the men's team spends, although the difference there is still enormous, it's not that hard to spend enough money to bring in the world's best players. Lyon have proved that, Chelsea have proved that this season, and there's no excuse for any other club, especially the ones in the WSL, most of whom have a Premier League counterpart on the men's side. Again, I think the best part of this entire deal was the improvements to refereeing and also like the pitch conditions, like the commitments to actually investing in that, to me, is a more tangible thing that we're gonna see immediately once this money hits, that will make a huge difference to the quality of the league. Not having games randomly canceled like Arsenal did. They had like 4 games canceled in a row last month. So that type of reliability should hopefully improve the league a lot. And looking forward past this deal with the WSL is going to run out at the end of the 2023-2024 season, which means after the next Women's World Cup. And what happened last time with the 2019 World Cup in France is that it drummed up a huge amount of support. The French league contract that I showed earlier came as a direct result of the Women's World Cup. The NWSL spikes in attendance in their most recent contract came as a result of the 2019 World Cup. I mean, I am somebody who bandwagoned into NWSL fandom after the 2019 World Cup. Like, that is a huge driver of interest in the women's game, and it's only gonna happen to an even greater extent after the next Women's World Cup, which is when their contract will run out. So I think this is gonna go very well, and I think they're gonna have even more leverage to get that WNBA money next time, or who knows, maybe even more. This is just another step in that development, and it's really good news for now. It's really good news for later. It sets a great precedent for other leagues to try to achieve, and yeah, I'm just happy. So anyway, that's gonna be all for this video. Thank you so much for checking it out. Again, if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. I do videos on women's soccer, especially if you're an Arsenal fan. I do match reviews after every Arsenal women's game. And if you're a U.S. women's national team fan, I do cover them a bit as well. I'm looking to get more into NWSL this season too. So yeah, it's a good place to be. You want to subscribe to the channel and drop a like on this video if you didn't already. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.